targeting analyst is. So we're going to get started. Targeting analysts use unique data sets, specialized tools, and network analysis techniques to identify and analyze threats to the US and identify opportunities to disrupt them. Okay, so your starting salary is like the last one. You need a bachelor's or a master's. There's a bonus if you can speak another language. And there is also opportunity for you to do travel. But unfortunately, there's no jobs. Okay. About the job. As a targeting analyst at CIA, you will work on teams that bring analysis and operations together to maximize the impact of agency and intelligence community resources against key figures and organizations who pose a threat to US interests. You will use unique data sets, specialized tools, and network analysis techniques to identify and analyze key threats to the United States, and to identify opportunities to disrupt them and evaluate the risks and benefits of proposed operations. You will regularly communicate your findings to policy and operational decision makers via a range of sophisticated short and long-term written intelligence products and verbal presentations. You will need to use your creativity, critical thinking, initiative, and strong communication and interpersonal skills to help solve complex intelligence problems and drive intelligence collection efforts. Over the course of your career, you might focus on specific regions and of the world and on functional topics including terrorism, weapons proliferation, narcotics trafficking, counterintelligence, and cyber threats. Opportunities exist for foreign and domestic travel, language training, analytic and management training, and assignments to other offices in the agency and throughout the US government. Agency analysts are encouraged to maintain and broaden professional ties through academic study, contacts, and attendance at professional meetings. You may also choose to pursue additional studies in fields relevant to your area of responsibility. So, who you'll work with. I think we actually did this in the last video. So now we are going to look up what a targeting analyst is. Okay. So, targeting analysts within the CIA Directorate of Intelligence are responsible for ensuring that all of the intelligence community's technical capabilities are maximized and all resources are focused on taking down key figures within foreign organizations that pose a threat to US interests. The concept of target analysis is to examine potential targets and determine their significance or importance. The information gleaned through this process is then used by policymakers and military officials when determining or prioritizing a plan of attack. It is up to the target analyst to ensure that all of the available resources are properly utilized and employed to achieve the best outcome. In other words, targeting analysts bring together the areas of analysis and operations to ensure that the CIA's resources are being utilized to their full potential. CIA Targeting Analysis Job Description. These professionals may focus on a specific region of the world or a specific functional topic, such as narcotics, trafficking, counterintelligence, weapon proliferation, terrorism, and cyber threats. Just a few of the major responsibilities of targeting analysts include evaluating the risk and benefit of planned action or operations, identifying opportunities to disrupt or dismantle illicit organizations and the individuals who control them, producing any number of intelligence products for both short and long-term goals, providing analytic support to US policymakers, law enforcement agencies, and military officials, utilizing datasets, network analysis techniques, and specialized tools to identify and analyze significant threats. Typical job duties of targeting analysis include reviewing, evaluating, and integrating data from multiple sources, developing analytical reports, briefs, and studies. They must identify information or intelligence gaps and develop information collection requirements, tools, and methodologies to fill those gaps. Targeting analysis use a combination of CIA sources to identify their targets, including, so we are going to look into these, so signal intelligence. What is signal intelligence? I'd love to know. Okay. Let's have a look at this one. Okay. I have to make this a tiny bit bigger. There we go. Don't you dare. Signal intelligence, SIGINT. This was written by Giancarlo Cimino. If that's your name, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. Signal intelligence is based on sources of information from electromagnetic interceptions, radars, and communications, coming from different sensors, space, satellite, air platforms, manned or unmanned aircrafts, and ground-based platforms. By extension, so ground-based, probably aerials like that. I'm going to put that back because that don't look right. Okay. Manned or unmanned and ground-based platforms. So probably satellites on the ground and radios and things like that. By extension, Signal intelligence refers to all the processing activities of this type of information: collection, evaluation, analysis, dissemination. Okay. What does that word mean? Does that mean like breaking it up and finding the important parts? Let's have a look. To scatter widely as in sowing seeds, to spread abroad and promulgate. That don't make any sense. Okay. The act of disseminating or spreading widely. The internet allows for the rapid dissemination of information. Oh, so spreading. Okay. Okay. Signal intelligence is part of the wider family of intelligence operations and includes LINT, electronic intelligence, and COMINT, communication intelligence. Signal intelligence must not be confused with other technical intelligence, image intelligence, acoustic intelligence, from human intelligence, and from open source intelligence. Okay, we're going to look them ones up anyway, so I won't look into them, but we'll carry on with this one. The US NSA defines SIGINT as the intelligence derived from electronic signals and systems used by foreign targets such as communication systems, radars, and weapon systems. SIGINT provides a vital window for our nation into foreign adversaries' capabilities, actions, and intentions. Task of SIGINT is to detect, analyze, and compare with a previously built database the EM environment for understanding the enemy organization plans and changes. Okay, so from the diagram here you can see what SIGINT is and the two. In order to receive the RF spectrum monitoring, the SIGINT mission needs to be accurately prepared. A prior information's priority is that meant to be a potpourri? Priority informations are made available to the SIGINT mission for comparison with new detected emissions in real time or near real time for tactical purposes. Data required and stored during a SIGINT mission are offline analyzed for SIGINT database update purposes. The SIGINT database creates strategic information. A selected part of the SIGINT data base is used at tactical level to create a proprietary data for the electronic order of battlefield. EOB represents best and quick known quick knowledge of the battlefield in terms of electronic magnetic spectrum (EMS) and its evolution along the time. EOB includes detection, identification, classification, localization, analysis, and collection of all the possible enemy emission divided in. Okay. The main steps of a SIGINT mission are mission preparation. All the information supporting the mission are identified and made available. Mission execution, acquisition and storage of data, and first level of analysis execution. Post-mission, preparation of the mission debriefing, analysis of the mission, and first level of report generation. Data analysis, details analysis of the data captured along the mission. Dissemination, sharing of new information with relevant organizational entities. Database, update, new data are inserted in the database and are available for the coming missions. Okay, is this more for the... Okay, let's see if we can find something else that might be helpful. Okay. Signal intelligence, often contracted to SIGINT, is intelligence gathering by interception of signals, whether between people, commit, or communication intelligence, whether involving electronic signals not directly used in communication, ELINT, or electronic intelligence, or combination of the two. As sensitive information is often encrypted, signals intelligence often involves the use of cryptanalysis. Also, traffic analysis, study of who is signaling whom and in what quantity, often produce valuable information even when the message themselves cannot be decrypted. As a means of collecting intelligence, signals intelligence is a subset of intelligence collection management, which in turn is a subset of intelligence cycle management. Okay. Intercepting written but encrypted communications and extracting information probably did not wait long after the development of writing. A simple encryption system, for example, is the Caesar cipher. Electronic interceptions appeared as early as 1900 during the Boer War. The Boers had captured some British radios, and since the British were the only people transmitting at the time, no special interpretation of the signal was necessary. Okay. In the United States and other nations involved with NATO, signal intelligence is defined as a category of intelligence comprising either individual or in combination all communications intelligence, COMINT, electronic intelligence, ELINT, and foreign instrumentation signals intelligence, however transmitted. Intelligence derived from communications, electronic and foreign instrumentation signals. I'm going to go through this and then just go through. Okay, targeting. A collection system has to know to look for a particular signal. System in the context has several nuances. Targeting is an output of the process of developing collection requirements. Okay. An intelligence need considered in the allocation of intelligence resource. Within the Department of Defense, these collection requirements fulfill the essential elements of information and other intelligence needs of a commander or an agency. So I'm guessing what they mean there is of intelligence resources. So it'll probably be all the special equipment they need. Okay. An established intelligence need validated against the appropriate allocation of intelligence resources as requirement to fulfill the essential elements of information and other intelligence needs of an intelligence consumer. I'm just looking through this. EOB build up. Okay. Communication intelligence is a subcategory of signal intelligence that engages in dealing with messages or voice information derived from the interception of foreign communication. It should be noted that ComInt is commonly referred to as SIGINT, which can cause confusion when talking about the broader intelligence disciplines. The U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff defines it as technical information and intelligence derived from foreign communication and other than the intended recipient. ComInt, which is defined to be communications among people, will reveal some or all the following: who is transmitting, where they are located, and if the transmitter is moving. The report may give a plot of the signal against location. If known, the organization function of the transmitter, the time and duration of transmission, and the schedule if it is a periodic transmission, the frequencies and other technical characteristics of their transmission, if the transmission is encrypted or not, and if it can be decrypted, if it is possible to intercept either an originally transmitted clear text or obtain it through cryptanalysis, the language of the communication and a translation when needed. The addresses, if the signal is not a general broadcast, and if addresses are retrievable from the message. These stations may also be ComInt, e.g. a confirmation of the message or a response message, ELINT, LINT, e.g. a navigation beacon being activated or both. rather than or in addition to an address or other identifier. There may be information on the location and signal characteristics of the responder. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. That makes sense. Retrievable or not. Okay. Voice interception. A basic com-int technique is to listen for voice communications, usually over radio but possibly leaking from telephones or from wiretap. If the voice communications are encrypted, the encryption first must be solved through a process of intro-electric diagram in order to listen to the conversation. Although traffic analysis may give information simply because one station is sending to another in a radical pattern. It means that it might be easy to identify because that message could be going to someone else and so they can get the okay. It is equally important to make sure that you have the correct X pattern in relation to the A2 pattern. I don't understand what that means. I am confused. These can be found by using the signal intelligence set given to all Navy communication officers and enlisted personnel and direct access to signal intelligence. Okay, this must be for the Navy, more for the Navy than okay. While modern electronic encryption does away with the need for armies to use obscure languages, it is certainly possible that guerrilla groups might use rare dialects that few outside their ethnic group would understand. Text interception. Not all communication is in voice. Morse code interception was once very important, but Morse code telegraphy is now obsolete in the Western world, although possibly used by special operations forces. Such forces, however, now have portable cryptographic equipment. Morse code is still used by the military of former Soviet Union countries. That's good to know. Specialists scan radio frequencies for channel sequences, electronic mail, and facsimile. Signal channel interception. A given digital communication link can carry thousands or millions of voice communications, especially in developed countries. Without addressing the legality of such actions, the problem of identifying which channel contains which conversation becomes much simpler when the first thing intercepted is the signaling channel that carries information to set up telephone calls. In civilian and many military use, this channel will carry messages in signaling system 7 Protocols. What does that mean? Is a set of telephony signaling protocols developed in 1975, which is used to set up and tear down telephone calls in most parts of the worldwide public switched television network. The protocol also performs number translation, local number portability, prepaid billing, short messaging service, and other services. Okay. In North America, SS7 is often referred to as Common Channel Signaling 7. In the United Kingdom, it is called 7C7, CCITT number 7, number 7, and Common Channel Inter-Office Signaling 7. In Germany, it is often called, and I'm not pronouncing that, okay. The SS7 protocol is defined for international use by the Q700 series recommendations of 1998 by the ITU-T. Of the many national variants of the SS7 protocol, most are based on variants standardized by the American National Standards Institute and European Telecommunications Standard Institution. National variants with striking characteristics are the Chinese and Japanese Communication Technology Committee national variants. The Internet Engineering Task Force has defined the SIGTRAN protocol suite that implements level 2, 3, and 4 protocol compatible with SS7, sometimes also called pseudo SS7. It is layered on the string control transmission protocol transport mechanism for use on Internet protocol networks such as the Internet. Okay, that is a lot to get your brain into. So I'm quickly gonna look into this. So I take it it's like a service provider or Internet Task Force. Was significantly influenced by telecommunication engineers' intent on using the new protocols for adapting IP networks to the PSTN with special regard to signaling applications. Okay. So this is to do with IP addresses and things. Okay. That makes a little more sense now. All these abbreviation acronyms for things. Okay. Okay. Use inbound, in which the call setup information is sent by generating special multi-frequency tones transmitted on the telephone line audio channels, also known as bearer channels. As the bearer channel are directly accessible by users, it can be exploited with devices such as the blue box. What is a blue box? is an electronic device designed specifically for telephone toll fraud. Ah, but now obsolete for that purpose. That generates the in-band signaling tone formerly used within the North American long-distance telephone network to send line status and call number information over voice circuits, either between a telephone operator, switchboard or technician console and a switching machine, or machine to machine. Okay, that's quite interesting too. Okay. Signaling in telephony is the exchange of control information associated with the setup and release of a telephone call on a telecommunications circuit. Examples of control information are the digits dialed by the caller and the caller's billing number. When signaling is performed on the same circuit as the conversation of the call, it is termed channel associated signal. This is the case for analog trunks, multi-frequency and R2 digital trunks, and DSSI stroke DASS PBX trunks. I don't know. In contrast, SS7 uses common channel signaling, in which the path and facility used by the signaling is separated and distinct from the signaling without first seizing a voice channel, leading to significant savings and performance increase in both signaling and channel usage. Oh, I get it. So it's like telephone companies, they've now got better in their call. Okay. And you get all those busy callbacks and public switchboard and things like that. Okay. I will put this in the PDF, so don't worry. It'll go in the PDF and it'll be in the filing cabinet down below. And so will this. Research. Okay. There we go. That's a little confusing, so I'm gonna actually this looks like it's for a bit it's going to be the same as Wikipedia. I'm just going to check, because sometimes websites do say it was templated off. It is a very long article, so I'll just read the important parts. Okay, so I think we've read that, if I remember. So I think we've read that on the other website. and that bit. I don't think we read this bit though. Need for multiple coordinated receivers. For atmospheric conditions, sunspots, the target's transmission schedule and antenna characteristics and other factors create uncertainty that a given signal intercept sensor will be able to hear the signal of interest, even with a geographically fixed target and an opportunity to make no attempt to evade interception. Basic countermeasures against interception include frequent changing of radio frequency, polarization, and other transmission characteristics. Okay, so basically what that means is people can get around it. Think of Smokey and the Bandits and that scene where they're outside and they're talking about Bandit 1 and Bandit 2. And then Cletus is like, the radio, like, go to channel 9, we'll go to channel 1. That's what they mean. And then Smokey says, go, we'll just stick on the odd channels. That's what they mean. Okay. Second, locating the transmitter's position is usually part of SIG-INT. Triangulation and more sophisticated radio location techniques, such as time of arrival methods, require multiple receiving points at different locations. Okay, so they need to be in all the different locations to actually fight. Okay. These receivers send location-relevant information to a central point, or perhaps to a distributed system in which all participants, such that the information can be correlated and a location computed. Intercept management. Modern SIG-INT systems, therefore, have substantial communications among intercept platforms. Even if some platforms are clandestine, there is a broadcast of information telling them where and how to look for the signals. A United States targeting system under development in the late 90s, PSTS, constantly sends out information that helps the interceptors properly aim their antennas and tune their receivers. Larger intercept aircraft, such as the EP-3 or RC-135, have the onboard capability to do some target analysis and planning, but others, such as the RC-12 Guardrail, are completely underground direction. Guardrail aircrafts are fairly small and usually work in units of 3 to cover a tactical SIG-INT requirement, where the larger aircraft tend to be assigned strategic national missions. Before the detailed process of targeting begins, someone has to decide there is a value in collecting information about something. While it would be possible to direct signal intelligence collection at a major sports event, the systems would capture a great deal of noise, new signals, and perhaps announcements in the stadium. If, however, an anti-terrorist organization believed that a small group would be trying to coordinate their efforts using short-range unlicensed radios at the event, SIGINT targeting of radios of that type would be reasonable. Targeting would not know where in the stadium the radios might be, or the exact frequency they are using. Those are the functions of subsequent steps, such as signal detection and direction finding. Once the decision to target is made, the various interception points need to be cooperated, since sources are limited. Knowing what interception equipment to use becomes easier when a target country buys its radars and radios from known manufacturers or is given them as military aid. National intelligence services keep libraries of devices manufactured by their own country and others, and then use a variety of techniques to learn what equipment is acquired by a given country. Knowing of physics and electronic engineering further narrows the problem of what type of equipment might be in use. An intelligence aircraft flying well outside the border of another country will listen for long-range search radars, not short-range fire control radars that would be used by a mobile air device. Soldiers scouting the front lines of another army know that the other side will be using radios that must be portable and not have huge antennas. Okay. Signal detection. Even if a signal is human communication, etc., a radio, the intelligence collection specialists have to know it exists. If the targeting function described above learns that a country has a radar that operates in a certain frequency range, the first step is to use a sensitive receiver, which one or more antennas that listen in every direction, to find an area where such a radar is operating. Okay. Once the radar is known to be in the area, the next step is to find its location. If the operator knows the probable frequency of transmission of interest, they may use a set of receivers preset to the frequencies of interest. These are frequency horizontal axis versus power vertical axis, produced at the transmitter before any filtering of signals do not add to the information being transmitted. Okay, that is confusing. So horizontal. Received energy on a particular frequency may start a recorder and alert a human to listen to the signals if they are intelligible, i.e. comment. If the frequency is not known, the operators may look for power on primary or sideband frequencies using a spectrum analyzer. I take it spectrum analyzer. Okay, it measures the magnitude of an input signal versus frequency within the full frequency range of an instrument. Okay. So it analyzes the input and frequency and the range. Okay. Information from the spectrum analyzer is then used to tune receivers to signals of interest.
It's 19 hours.
For example, in a simplified spectrum, the actual information is at 800 kHz and 1.2 MHz. Okay. Let's have it. When locations are known, using patterns may emerge, from which interference may be drawn. Traffic analysis is the discipline of drawing patterns from information flow among a set of senders and receivers. Whether those senders and receivers are designated by location determined through direction finding, by addressees and sender identifications in the message, or even mass int, which I think is measure and signature intelligence. Okay, I think that's actually one we are going to have, so I'll put that away because we are going to be looking into that. I'm going to put this away as well because that was a bit confusing, that one. And we'll keep this one. Okay. We've read that. Voice interception, text, signaling channel intercept, this one, monitoring friendly communications. Electronic signal intelligence. Electronic signal intelligence refers to intelligence gathering by use of electronic sensors. Its primary focus lies on non-communication signals intelligence. The Joint Chiefs of Staff define it as technical and geolocational intelligence derived from foreign non-communication electromagnetic radiation emanating from other than nuclear detonation or radioactive sources. So this is, from what I can tell, is when they are looking for weapons of mass destruction. Signal identification is performed by analyzing and collecting parameters of a specific signal and either matching it to known criteria or recording it as a possible new emitter. LINT data are usually highly classified and are protected as such. And that would be because it would be the Department of Energy, which would mean that, yeah, I'm not even going to mention. Okay. The data gathered are typically pertinent to the electronics of an opponent's defense network, especially the electronic parts such as radars, surface-to-air missile systems, aircraft, etc. LINT can be used to detect ships and aircrafts by their radar and other electromagnetic radiation. Commanders have to make choices between not using radar, MCON, intermittently using it, or using it and expecting to avoid defenses. LINT can be collected from ground stations near the opponent's territory, ships off their coast, aircraft near or in their airspace, or in satellite. Okay. I think I'm going to stop here and then we'll look into the other, go into imagery intelligence. Right, so I'll put that away and I'll be back. Hi, so we're now going to do imagery intelligence. So let's have a little look at that. Okay. Alright, so I'm in imagery intelligence. ImInt, or imagery intelligence, is one of the 4 major branches of intelligence, and along with human mass int and signing int, human measurements and signature and signals intelligence respectively, formerly known as photographic intelligence or photint. ImInt is derived from photography. Infrared sensors, synthetic aperture radar, and other forms of imaging technology. Okay. It was this wealth of imagery sources and techniques that influenced the shift in terminology from photint to ImInt during the 1970s. Well, good job and all. Okay. Collection platforms for ImInt have ranged from surveillance balloons employed from the time of the French Revolution onward to satellites such as those of the KH or Keyhole series. In addition to Keyhole, Corona, and other satellite systems employed by US intelligence. There are satellites that are not obviously tasked with intelligence gathering. Aircraft, both manned and unmanned, have long served in the mission of gathering ImInt. Okay, I didn't know that. These range from the B-17 Flying Fortress of World War II to the U-2, in use since the 1950s to pioneer unarmed aerial vehicles used in the Persian Gulf War. Once gathered, imagery has to be transmitted to processing centers, most of which are in Washington, D.C. Technicians at the National Photographic Interpretation Center, NPIC, the National Imagery and Mapping Agency, NIMA, and other such units are highly skilled at studying photographs taken from high altitude or from space. From these images, many of which would be extremely difficult for the layperson to interpret in even the most basic sense, imagery technicians can discern information on the movement of troops and materials or other enemy activities. And there's some books, and there's also some websites right there. So satellite spot. Oh, so that would be under reconnaissance satellites. Okay. That's a quite interesting site as well. Okay. So I will put this in the PDF that'll be linked in my filing cabinet, so don't worry. I'm also going to try and see if I can find these books as well in my own time, and I'll put them in the PDF too if I do find them. So, yay! Just seeing if there's any more. Okay, what's this? Okay. This is called Citizendium. And I have no idea if these people are right-leaning or left-leaning. There's also an infogalactic one as well, which I could put down too. But let's just have a look at this one. Imagery Intelligence, IMINT, INT, is a means of obtaining information about distant topics by creating an image of it, most often using visible light photography. Imagery interpreters are people skilled in understanding the significance of images, such as high-altitude photographs of camouflaged military installations. They may use quantitative techniques of photogrammetry. Whoa. Photogrammetry. Is the art, science, and technology of obtaining reliable and quantitative information about physical objects and environments. Alright. Would that include Google when I do Google Maps? Because that would, to me, that would come under I'm it. What about using, recording, measuring, and analyzing electromagnetic energy and other phenomena? The images used for analysis are typically obtained by remote sensing. Although it need not be long-range sensing, photogrammetric methods can be used to validate and interpret short-range photographs. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story. Story time perfectly. The people came around our house, my house, to, I think they were doing some work, and they took photographs and measured with like that red laser thing, and then went away again and made a 3D model of photographs of our house. So I'm wondering if they're meaning that as well when I say image as well. Okay. Where was I? Closely related fields including geographic information systems, imagery intelligence, IIMT, geodesy, and geospatial intelligence. One way to think of modern photogrammetry is as a process that takes one or more recorded images and converts them to a 2 or 3 dimensional set of coordinates and attributes. Photogrammetric metrology takes precise measurements by computations on the coordinates. Using coordinate systems to link human recognizable images to sensor readings is a key to the measurement and signature intelligence. MassInt, discipline of electro-optic MassInt and spectroscopic mass. These disciplines also apply to civilian remote sensing. Okay, let's have a quick look at that, just so that we know what's going on. Okay, this is quite a long page. Electro-optic MassInt is a sub-discipline of measurement and signature intelligence MassInt, which has similarities to but complements imagery intelligence, IMINT. The basic model of IMINT is taking a photograph, perhaps using techniques that record information not visible to the unassisted human eye, but a picture nonetheless. It may take significant skill to interpret objects in that picture, but the interpretation still depends on visible metaphors such as shape, size, and shadow. Electro-optic int helps validate the elements of that picture so that, for example, the analyst can tell if an area of green is vegetation or camouflage paint. Okay. That's it. Electro-optic method also generates information on phenomena that emit, absorb, or reflect electromagnetic energy in the infrared, visible light, or ultraviolet spectra, phenomena where a picture is less important than the amount of type of energy reported. Okay, so basically, from what I can tell, is a way of finding things that no one can see with the naked eye. Okay, and I'm looking at. Oh, okay. So seeing the hidden things that. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to put this away. I'll probably do more on this actually in another video one day. So that'll be fun. And then there was spectro. So that's probably the infrared and the ultraviolet. Okay. As well as a highly trained ability to recognize patterns. Ah, okay. So this was from 1962. And this was taken by a plane, I take it, to show Cuba. Okay. Sensors. Ooh. Imaging sensors as a first approximation break into mapping or wide view and close look types. Accurate maps are indeed product of imagery intelligence as well as geodesy. So that would be like Google Maps basically, and Google Earth. Wide view imaging coupled with spectroscopic mass int can give significant economic intelligence relating to the state of agriculture, disasters, and natural resources. Close-look techniques can identify specific patterns and individual objects. A Soviet S-75 Divina installation, for example, had a characteristic 6-point star pattern even if the missiles and radar could not be seen in detail. Of course, given a clue that a given missile radar system might be in a certain place, electronic intelligence can be taken to confirm by detecting the radars of that system. Given a precisely located image, the full range of intelligence collection technologies can cooperate to understand its significance. Spectroscopic mass int, for example, does not create new images, but analyzes the infrared and visible spectra of the pixels of the image. Multispectral analysis of those pixels can reveal, for example, in a field, green grass to the human eye is actually vegetation or camouflage paint. Signals intelligence can determine if communications or radar are coming from a seemingly innocent building. The image forming devices are most often on reconnaissance aircraft or satellites, but can come from handheld cameras on the ground, photographs taken through a submarine's periscope, or many other potential platforms. Imagery intelligence definitely includes photographs taken in infrared and ultraviolet spectras. Okay. That was a decoy helicopter. There you go. I will one day actually do something about this, because that's quite interesting actually. And it'd be nice to be able to learn more, because I don't know everything, and I'm sure there are a lot of people listening that don't know a lot either, so that's kind of fun that we can learn together, you know. So I'm going to read the Info Galactic. I'm not going to read all of it, obviously. But just see if this makes a little bit more sense as well, and see if that goes with the other things we read. So, imagery intelligence is an intelligence gathering discipline which collects information via satellite and aerial photography. As a means of collecting intelligence, IMINT is a subset of intelligence collection management, which in turn is a subset of intelligence cycle management. Okay. That's a mouthful. Okay. Let's have a little looky. Intelligence cycle management refers to the overall activity of guiding the intelligence cycle, which is a set of processes used to provide Decision useful information intelligence to leaders. The cycle consists of several processes including planning and direction. The focus of this article: collection, processing and exploitation, analysis and production, and dissemination and integration. The related field of counterintelligence is tasked with impeding the intelligence efforts of others. Okay. So, in other words, basically planning and direction. So basically being someone who sets the operations or whatever. Okay. And then countering, kind of stopping other intelligence agencies or in other countries. Okay, so is it using technology and stuff to plan? Yeah. Human mind remains at the core of intelligence. Okay. Intelligence organizations are not infallible. Intelligence reports are often referred to as estimates and often include measures of confidence and reliability, but when properly managed and tasked, can be among the most valuable tools of management and government. The principles of intelligence have been discussed and developed from the earliest writers of warfare to the most recent writers on technology. Despite the most powerful computers, the human mind remains at the core of intelligence, discerning patterns and extracting meanings from a flood of correct, incorrect, and sometimes deliberately misleading information. Okay. So basically it's one study of analytic culture established the following consensus definition. Intelligence is secret state or group activity to understand or influence foreign or domestic entities. Intelligence analysis is the application of individual and collective cognitive methods to weigh data and test hypotheses within a secret socio-cultural context. So intelligence is kind of like making plans, so having a plan and then having a backup plan and going through all the scenarios. That's what I take from it. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. But yeah. Let's see if there's anything. So code num 200 such. Between 1959 and 1984, the US launched around 200 such satellites under the codename Corona and Gambit, with ultimate photographic resolution, ground resolution distance better than 4 inches, 0.10 meters. The first successful mission concluded on the 19th of the 8th, 1960, with the mid-air recovery by a C-119 of film from the Corona mission, codenamed Discoverer 14. Okay. That was quite interesting, actually. Okay. So in it could also be map making as well, possibly, or just a target and then its surrounding area. I'm taking it, I do not understand that maths. I'm just letting you know. That just looks like a whole lot of numbers and letters put together. So that was fun. So I'm going to stop this video and I will be back next time with the next subject. See you later, guys.